Thank very much, everyone, for joining season two, session two of fundraising Q and A. And in these sessions, they're essentially open sessions. We can talk about anything you want. If you have any queries or questions, just raise them. But also, generally, we focus on one particular subject. And so today we're going to talk about raffles, how to set them up, different ways of using raffles, because there's lots of different ways of using raffles, which is nice. You want to use raffles in lots of different ways because then you can engage your supporters more. Now, before we go into setting up a raffle and all the different ways you can configure it, is everyone okay with knowing who People's Fundraising is and what we do, or does anyone want an overview at all?
I'm good.
No,
No, I'm okay.
we're out. Okay, okay, fantastic. Okay, well, let's jump straight into it. After I've put my phone on Do Not Disturb, it's now Do Not Disturb. So raffles then. Raffles are an amazing tool for fundraising. And generally what we see charities and other not-for-profits do, once they understand, hi Christine, we've just started. So once charities understand that there are limitations with just asking your supporters for donations, then, there's a concept of donation fatigue. And also people or charities and not-for-profits understand that there are limitations of asking their supporters to do the Cake Bake Marathon run type fundraising. So we know only about 20% of supporters do that because you're asking them to run a marathon or walk up a mountain. So I'm not surprised only 20% of people do that. Then charities and not-for-profits, they say, we got this massive engaged supporter base. How else can we generate fundraising income? And it's generally charities look towards ticketed events or raffles. So today we're going to talk about raffles, and we think the reason why is people know, or people think they know what a raffle is, and so that's why they dip their toes into the next level of fundraising using raffles. Okay. So let's set up a raffle and we can talk about the different ways you can use a raffle as we go through the setup. So hopefully everyone's got their People's Fundraising accounts. And if you go to your control panel, scroll a bit down the page, click on raffles. It's dead easy to set up a raffle. You'll just click step 1 of 3, create a raffle page. So on our platform, every page has a page name and page description. So let's say Spring Raffle 2026. And we always say with descriptions, keep them short, succinct, but to the point. What we know nowadays as well is people don't read anything. So I know it's tempting when you have your donation descriptions or raffle page descriptions to put a whole load of stuff about who you are and what you're doing. But yeah, literally keep it short and sweet. Nobody's going to read it nowadays. Yes, there is a smaller minority of people who do read, and therefore it's demographic specific. But in general, people don't read. On all of our pages, you can display the total generated on the page. You can also display the total number of supporters who've purchased on a page. And you can also display the share button where people then can then share on WhatsApp, Instagram, on all of the social channels. Each raffle page has its own unique page URL. So it'd be peoplesfundraising.com/raffle and then something. So this is what you'll publish out on your social channels, on your email groups, on your WhatsApp groups, etc. Now, in terms of physical locations, every page has its own unique QR code as well. So you can download that QR code, print it out, and put it in lots of different locations. So if you are a not-for-profit charity who has shops, for example, you could have a QR code in the shop window. You could have a QR code at the till. Or if you're a PTA, you could have QR codes at the different gates that the children enter and exit the school, for example. Or if you're doing a physical event and you're holding a raffle, and people were buying tickets before and you're going to draw the raffle at the event itself, then you could have the QR codes on the programs or the menus or around a location as well. Okay, so really use the QR code for maximum benefit. Okay, so let's come to the raffle ticket pricing. So You can put any raffle ticket price you want. And this really is dependent on the type and nature of prizes that you're offering. So again, if you're a PTA, me being a dad, my son's 8, so I'm sort of like, PTA focused. Um, a lot of the raffles there, you can win the bottle of wine, you can win, the chocolate and things like that. And a lot of the time, people are entering those raffles not because they actually care about winning the prizes, but it's a fun way of engaging with the PTA to generate money. And again, this is a really good example, actually, why just asking for donations doesn't always generate as much income as, say, holding a raffle, because holding the raffle, it implies a game, it implies some engagement, which is what a direct donation doesn't. And so more people are wanting more of an engagement, more of an experience through their fundraising with you. So whereby less people will make donations, the people who don't necessarily make donations may enter the raffle again because it's more interesting, more engaging. Okay. So you could have a low value raffle. We think about the average raffle ticket price on the platform is £3. But then again, it depends what you're raffling. You can have something that's £50 a raffle ticket. Okay. So even in the ticket price, note that as a charity not for profit, you can do the high value raffle, low value raffle. And again, that is two different, it's the same structure of raffle, but it's two different ways of people experiencing the raffle through you. You put in the total number of raffle tickets available. And you also can put the minimum and maximum number of raffle tickets that anyone can purchase at any point in time. Now, these configuration items are really, really important. If you're a charity who maybe is only going to run one or two raffles a year, then they're not so important. But what we're seeing now is more and more charities and not-for-profits are holding regular raffles, maybe one a month or something like that. Okay, and therefore these values start to be really important. Now, the reason why is you have two extents of supporters who want to support you in the raffle. You have one type of person who can maybe only give £3, but they still want to support you in any case. And you have another type of person who may want to give you £100. Okay. Remember, the raffle, you're not getting money from the raffle. Don't think about you holding the raffle and people are giving you money. Think about you're holding a raffle and you're giving people the opportunity to give you money. Okay. So again, you need to change the mindset from some sort of, oh, please give us money, to we're giving you an interesting way that you can give us money. Okay. So they're going to be people who can maybe only buy one raffle ticket, and they're going to be people who you can buy a lot, but they may want to give more. So if you're going to do multiple raffles throughout the year and you set this to a high number, then what will happen in the long term is the supporters who could only maybe buy one raffle ticket, they will stop playing into the future because they know there's very little chance of winning, because the people who are buying all the raffle tickets generally win. Okay, so in order to protect those people, so they feel as though they've got a chance of winning, even though they can only buy one raffle ticket, you limit the number of raffle tickets that anyone can buy. Okay, and that means that those people will play into the future. However, what about the people who actually want to give you a lot of money? Okay, so maybe this person wants to give you £50, £60, £70, but in this case, you've limited them to £30. You also want to give them the opportunity they can give more as well. So on our platform, you would go to the top, you would click on optionals, and you click on optional donation, and then you can link a donation page to the raffle, which means that when somebody goes to purchase raffle tickets, they are asked if they want to make an optional donation as well. Now, the impact of that is that by restricting, not only are you generating more money in the long term because the people who can purchase only one or two tickets are going to play into the long term, but you also generate more money in the short term because the people who want to give you more than, in this case, £30, just say £50, they will give the extra money as an optional donation, but also that extra money as an optional donation can be gift aided. So that's another 25% uplift. So it's really interesting psychology. If you're going to do multiple raffles, restrict the number of raffle tickets and you will generate more money short term and long term. Quite interesting, huh? Okay, you can also specify a default number of raffle tickets per order. I don't particularly like that. I think people should just choose, but some charities and not-for-profits like to do that. Now, in terms of raffle ticket sales start and end date, you just specify the sales start and end date. Again, if you've got a physical event, you could just have a raffle that starts and ends at the physical event. Or you could open up that raffle beyond the people who are just going to turn up to that event. So therefore, the start date is maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks before. And even though people entering that raffle, not all of them are going to go to the event, more people are included ultimately in the event. Or what you could have one raffle that allows people to enter and it's going to be drawn at the event. And maybe you could have another exclusive raffle at the event itself. Okay. So again, it's the same construct of raffle. You're just playing around with presenting it in a different way. So let's put the end date. And then you have a draw date, which can be the same as the end date, but it can also be different as well. You also enter your promoter details. So they're the details on your license if you require a license. So there's some raffle scenarios whereby you don't require a license. So I understand that for example, if you're running a raffle within the event confines itself, you don't need a license for that. Or if it's a closed raffle only to your members, you don't need a raffle for that. However, with that said, the power of the internet is that you can access a lot more people than your potential own support group itself. And so really think about whether you just want to limit the raffle to your own local support group or you want to go wider. So here's a really nice example. I was chatting to a charity maybe a week or so ago, and they said they have some tickets to Strictly Come Dancing. How amazing is that? Right? It's a really nice thing, like, yeah, I'd love to go to Strictly Come Dancing, pay £3 for a raffle ticket. I may go to Strictly Come Dancing. And so we were talking about the best way to go and generate income. And so they had a relatively reasonable sized supporter base. I think it was a couple of thousand supporters. And then I said, well, why don't you go to Facebook and, other such social channels and look for fans of Strictly Come Dancing and then publish the page on that. Okay. Now that would therefore require a license. Okay. However, that would really increase the potential reach of that page and subsequent income. Okay. And that would, in terms of getting the license, that would, easily outweigh the cost and time of getting the license. Okay. Anyway, you put in your promoter details if you need them. Now, the promoter details, they will appear on the raffle page itself. And also when somebody buys a raffle ticket, they will appear on the email that goes out to the person who's purchased some raffle tickets. Okay, so we press create. Oh, somebody's already done a spring raffle 2026. Well done them. This shows something else, actually. You can also set up all of your raffles for the whole year. reserve the URLs and things like that. So you define maybe 12 different raffles, and the raffle, start date, because you specify a raffle ticket sale start date, just, so maybe you run one every month. And so you could say every month, people can buy the tickets, not before the month starts and not after. So again, this is a nice example. You can set up everything before. So at the beginning of the year, work out a fundraising strategy and then just go and implement everything in a few days. And then the system will just roll them out for you. Of course, you need to socialize these things. You need to go and tell your supporters about them, but everything's set up for revenue generation through raffles. Okay, let's press create. And then I assign to a campaign. Remember, a campaign is an area of fundraising focus. If you're a PTA, as an example, a fundraising campaign could be, we're raising money for new equipment for the playground. Another campaign could be, we're raising money for new books for the library. Another campaign could be, we're raising money for low-income families to support them through summer. Now, we always say every charity, every not-for-profit needs to be campaign focused. So it's far better that you're a charity, not-for-profit, PTA, and you say, we are raising money for X, Y, Z. You give your supporters choice of where they fundraise, And then you give them choice of how to fundraise via a raffle, via an event, via a donation page, via a tombola. Okay, so that's more efficient than just saying we're a charity, we're a non-for-profit, we're a PTA, give us money and we'll do stuff with that. People trust that less. Okay, so just define campaigns, communicate out to your audience what you're raising money for, and then provide interesting ways via our platform, raffles, auctions, or gift voucher shops, for your supporters also to financially contribute. Okay. So on our platform, you can say this raffle is just for one particular campaign, or you can also say, just say you've got 3 campaigns. You can say this raffle is to support all 3 campaigns, and then you'd just split it. You'd say, 33% to one, 33% to another, 34% to another, for example. In this case, we're just going to say 100%. And then the system takes us to the final stage whereby we start entering our raffle prizes. Now, the system allows you to present the raffle in different ways. So there's one type of raffle whereby, just say you have 10 prizes, the system can draw and allocate who's won those 10 prizes, but it will allocate 10 people of one, and then you give those people the choice to choose which prize they want. That's one way of doing it. Another way is that you enter all the prizes into the system, and then the system will allocate that Mabel's won the wine, Megan's won the teddy bear, Jean's won the hamper, etc. Okay, and again, it's the same raffle structure. You're just presenting it in a different way for a slightly different effect. So if you want to do the former, whereby you choose or you define how people select their own prizes, what you would say is here, you would say prizes, something like this. And then you would list the prizes or describe them. And then you would say there are 10 prizes, if there are 10 prizes, and then you would assign them to the page. And then what the system will do, if you want the system to draw, it will then assign 10 winners to the prizes, and then you choose who picks what. So if this was drawn at a physical event, for example, you could read out the winners and then they come and line up. You could say the people in the front of the queue picked first, or you could say the people who bought the raffle tickets sooner can choose first. And again, in small little changes like this, again, you can see how you're really changing the experience of the raffle. Okay. But if you don't want to do that, if you want the system to allocate who's won what, you'd just say the prize is a teddy, and you'd enter one here, and then you would enter the other prizes in the same way. So if we press create here, you would go to prizes and you would just add more prizes. Okay. Now let's see what we've got. Hopefully I've shown you it takes literally a couple of minutes to set up a raffle page. But what you need to do though is you need to organize what your raffle prizes are. You need to decide on the parameters, start date, end date, price. And then after you set up the page, you then need to socialize it. So let's see what the page looks like. So this is a standard look and feel, people's fundraising look and feel. You want to put some interest, you can put images here, YouTube videos here, etc. You can turn this off and on. It says when it is, when the draw date is. You can add to calendar, how much the raffle tickets are, and what the prizes are, and also who it's supporting. So if it was supporting multiple campaigns would be listed here. Okay. Now let's just look at a few other examples on people's fundraising. I always say I have no idea what these are going to look like. Okay, let's see what these look like. So they're using a default look and feel. £2 per raffle ticket, who it's supporting, and you can see how they presented their raffle prizes here. But I can go and buy tickets with Google Pay, Apple Pay, debit card. Let's check this one out. This is a nice one. This is a themed raffle page. I'll show you how to apply themes. Again, same structure. Yeah, £4 per raffle ticket. A Joshi project one. This is an example of adding an image here. Yeah. With all of these things, you can add images and YouTube videos all over the place. In actual fact, this is an example of adding multiple images, but you can also do multiple images and image carousels here as well. And generally what we say, to make the page look really, really cool, you should think about the length of the descriptions, the length of the titles, length of the descriptions, and associated same dimensions for the images as well. And then it will be presented really, really nicely. Let's check out some more. This is a Valentine's raffle, another theme here. Looks like they're underway, or it looks like it's potentially just finished. Nice little image. And again, this is an example of, they've got some image carousels here on the prizes. Again, this would look a lot better if the image dimensions were the same size. And you could see how everything would then align really nicely on the page. Let's look at this one. A signed Arsenal shirt. How cool. And again, this is a really nice example of your raffles can represent anything they want. And I'm quite surprised actually at £1 per raffle ticket. Well, they've chosen that for a reason, but literally that could easily be £10, £15, £20. But the charity's made that decision. They've said, who's our supporter base? And we're going to set it at £1. But this is an example of, I don't know who they're going to socialise this page to, but there are loads of Arsenal fans around the country and around the world. So this could potentially get a lot of traffic if the charity socialise the page to the right social groups and channels. And then this is a nice looking one. This is the 16th of Feb. So this is nice. This is somebody setting up beforehand. So the purchase button hasn't appeared. The share button's cool. We can share it directly on Facebook, Instagram. So if I click here, Facebook will open, and I think it will post some details into Facebook already. There you go. So it's posted the link in already. But let's come back here. Nice little image. They could have thought more about the resolution and the prizes, which is quite nice. Okay, so there's some nice examples. So let's go through and make some changes to how this looks and how this is presented. Okay, so you come back to your raffle page and then you click update. So in order to change a theme, you go to the themes tab, and there are loads of themes on the platform now, and the theme just changes the look and feel of the page. It generally takes out the people's fundraising look and feel. If you want a theme that's not there, just let us know and we'll create it for you. However, the theme has to be reusable by other charities, PTAs, not-for-profit, so it can't contain any charity-specific imagery. Okay, charity-specific stuff has to go within the page, right? But if you really want to be branded, we've got a fully branded platform you can use as well. So some of the really nice ones are, I think there's a beautiful Christmas raffle one that people use quite a lot. And look at that for a theme. Really, really nice. So yeah, just play around with the themes. What's this one here? And choose one that, maybe aligns most with your look and feel and whatnot. Yeah. So which one should we go for? We're just going to go for light blue, very basic. You can also add as many different images as you like. If you add multiple images, an image carousel will appear within the page. And also you can link your social media accounts to the page. So if you have a YouTube share URL, for example, the YouTube video will appear in the page. If you have an Instagram URL, your Instagram feed. In actual fact, does anyone have an Instagram URL? They can share and chat. We'll see the feed. And I'll just look for a YouTube share URL. And I'll show you where the YouTube appears. So I'm just looking for people's fundraising. Okay, so I've just gone to YouTube, and if I paste it there, then the YouTube video will appear. Anyone for the Instagram? Have you got one, Megan? I can't hear you, but
Sorry, no, I think we do. Hang on.
okay. And there's me. It should work.
There
Right,
we go.
great. All right, so I'm going to go in chat. Let's copy that. Right, and so that feed should appear in the page as well. If you click on more, you can do a few other things as well. So you can embed documents as well. So at the moment, you can embed YouTube videos, Instagram feeds, image carousels, but also documents. So a use case there is maybe you're raffling off a boat or a motorcycle or something like that. You could have a PDF that describes the technical specifications, more detail, okay, of the item you're selling. You can turn off and on payment methods. With Raffles, you're actually restricted to certain payment methods as well. So by UK law, you can't use credit cards. So we've turned off credit cards. But you can pay with Google Pay, Apple Pay linked to a debit card, and also gift voucher as well. So our system allows you to pay with a gift voucher. You can do things like add a numbering scheme. You can change the draw mode. You can add age verification as well. So if your raffle item is something you need to be, say, 18 and over, you can ask the age verification question. Now let's look at draw mode as well, because this is another way of using the same raffle structure but changing the experience of a supporter. So when people buy raffle tickets, what they expect is every ticket they buy has one chance of winning, but not multiple. So what you can do in our system, you can say, set it to random, which means every ticket somebody buys can potentially win all the prizes. Or you can say email restricted, and that means that it doesn't matter how many tickets you buy, you can only win maximum one prize according to your email address. And again, this is just taking the basic raffle structure and allowing you to present it in different ways. Okay, but most people expect ticket restricted. So if you are going to change that, make sure you really highlight that in the description and when you're socializing it as well. Okay. Now, if you go into optionals as well, we've already linked a donation page. So that means when somebody goes to purchase a ticket, they'll be asked for an optional donation. You can also link a tombola. So a tombola is an instant win raffle. Now, if you link a tombola page to the raffle, then when somebody buys a raffle ticket, they're just going to be entered into the tombola. So that becomes an incentive to purchase. Again, it's the same raffle, but presenting it in a different way. And also, you can link memberships to the page as well. Now, what this means is on our platform, we've got a membership module, membership system. You can set up memberships for individuals, gold, silver, bronze, etc., communities, companies, all wanting different things in terms of value exchange when it comes to memberships. So if you set up memberships, your different membership tiers will appear here. Now, what this means is that for all of our tools, raffles, events, auctions, lottery, gift vouchers, shops, you can open them to the public, but then you can have members only raffles, events, auctions, lottery, gift voucher shops, which is really, really good. And so one of the reasons for this is sometimes people come to us and they say, well, can we restrict who purchases? And this is one way of doing it. But it's a really nice value add. Charities, essentially, they are gatekeepers for a series of supporters. So why not cement that relationship with some sort of membership scheme? And to have members only raffles, events, auctions is a great perk. So that's what you can do on the platform as well. We won't talk about symbolic giving or impact champions. I think there's another presentation over the next few weeks for those. But also labels is just another little extra feature. So what changing the labels means is if you look at the page when it comes up, this is a label, this is a label, this is a label, this is a label. If you don't like those labels, then you can update these labels with anything you want. So again, what we want to try and give you is a way that you can create so many different types of raffles, but also display it in the way you want as well by changing the theme, by embedding things, by adding YouTube videos and all of that sort of stuff. So we want everything to be as configurable in order for you to generate more engaging supporter experiences going forward and therefore generating more income. Okay, so we're not going to do that now, but let's click update. I don't want to change my campaign allocation. Let's view the page again. I've got my video. Oh, it wasn't Instagram. What's the other one then? Anyway, so I've got my video. I could have put an image carousel there. The theme has changed. I'm still going to buy the teddy. Now, if I click purchase, because I own the page, I've got a few other payment options. However, a supporter not logged in, not owning the page would see Google Pay, Apple Pay, debit card or credit card. Let's click through and see the user experience. So it asked me to select the number of raffle tickets and also telephone number as well. We specifically ask people to enter telephone number because somebody's winning something, and although we automatically capture somebody's address and email address, sometimes email is not the best way to get in contact with somebody. Okay, the email could be wrong, it could be an old email address, it could bounce, it could be filtered. So we say put in your telephone number, and then that's another means for you to contact. In this case, we've linked an optional donation we've linked a donation page, therefore it's asking for an optional donation. The People's Fundraising account doesn't accept gift aid. If it did accept gift aid, we'd also be asked if we wanted to add gift aid to the donation portion as well. Okay, so minimally, if you're purchasing raffle tickets, you only have to enter the number of raffle tickets and your telephone number, and that's it. We then click pay. It goes to the next page whereby we go through the Google Pay, Apple Pay experience. So I can click that now and it will tell me how much. So £100 the donation, £18 the raffle tickets, and that's it. People can purchase literally in seconds. 90% of people now pay with Google Pay, Apple Pay. And so all of our tools are linked to Google Pay, Apple Pay. It's just so convenient, so convenient. And via Google Pay, Apple Pay, you notice that we ask the supporter to enter virtually no information. We capture first name, last name, title, address, all of those things from the Google Pay, Apple Pay accounts. Okay. So let's go back to the page. Now, if you go to the buy tickets button again, you see offline and offline bulk. What these are for is there are going to be certain scenarios where people want to give you cash, check, bank transfer. If they do, you can enter those into the raffle or any of our other pages for free. So therefore you have one system for, online payments, one system for offline payments. So the offline allows you to enter things one by one. And it comes up. Okay, so you put in the number of raffle tickets, you put in the payment method, for example, and you put in as much information as you can in order to identify the person as possible. So although the system requires you to put in all of this information, the key thing for you is you capture enough information to identify that person, and then everything else is unknown. So that may mean if you're taking cash from somebody, you need their first name and their email address. And so therefore you just, change unknown for their first name and enter their email address, and then they're in the system. But again, the key thing for you is you've got enough information that you can identify them as a winner should they win. Okay. Now, the bulk payment method is entering the offline in bulk, which is cool. So you just upload a bulk file. The bulk file template looks a bit like this. Whereby you put in how many tickets somebody's bought, the payment method, and again, you just enter the information enough that you identify who they are. You don't need to enter it. Well, you do need to enter something in all the fields, but it can be unknown, and that's fine. Okay, the key thing is you running the raffle have a responsibility to identify that person, and so you capture that much information. Okay. Now, a typical use case of the two is that you may be running a physical event. The QR code's all around the physical event. You socialize the link online before, a couple of weeks before, people are buying already. And at the physical event, somebody comes up to you and they say, can I buy some raffle tickets? You can say, yes, you can scan the QR code and pay with Google Pay, Apple Pay. But if they say no to that, you can say, well, give us your cash, give us your name, give us your email address, and then you come and enter it into the spreadsheet. And then towards the end of the raffle, you'll just upload that spreadsheet one time into the platform. Okay. Or alternatively, somebody can be on their phone. Accept the cash itself. Let's go back here again, and then just you can just imagine somebody on their phone now. They take the cash, they go to here, they put in somebody's giving me cash, somebody's bought 4 tickets. Tell me what your first name is. Tell me what you're, and they're typing on their phone as they do it, and then they press play. So both ways are quite convenient ways of being able to take in that cash, that check, that bank transfer. Okay, and any offline payment is free through the platform. Okay, so any questions on setup before we go into management information and drawing and things like that? Mabel, Megan, Jean, Christine? No? Okay, cool. All right, so let's go into the data that's generated and things like drawing. Okay, so as people buy raffle tickets and as you log in to the platform, the quick statistics gives you all of your purchases over all of the fundraising streams in real time. So what you'll notice is the raffles number of transactions will start to increase and the gross income will start to increase as well. And then you can also see processing fees and net income, etc. Now, if I want to see the specific purchases themselves, I can either click on this or this, which will take me to the income report, or I can click on quick reports and download the income report itself. Right, so let's just go from here. Click here, it takes me to the income report. The income report is amazing. It literally tells you every piece of information about every single payment over every fundraising tool in the platform. The data's yours. We don't restrict it at all. So you put a start and an end date and it says page name and all of these sorts of things. And it gives you all of that raw data. So let me just put in from the 1st to the 1st and click download. So we've got nothing because nobody's bought anything this year. Okay. Right, now we can also do advanced options as well, whereby, that's it, it was restricted to raffle page. So if I actually select none on that, and then I click download, what's it got? None, group by none. Okay. Anyway, when you run this, because we haven't got any raffle ticket purchases, it will give all of that raw data. But if you go into advanced options, what you can do is you can say, well, if you want the total generated by the raffle, you can either see that in quick statistics, or you can say group by page name, and then but just give me raffle pages, and then it will tell you how much each of your raffle pages has generated, no other pages. So the income report is amazing, but also note that you can also extract higher level summarized management information as well. We don't just give you the raw data. We're not a CRM, but we do give you some of that higher level reporting as well. And so with this, you can also do things like if you want to see who your highest value donors, for example, you can group it by email address, which is a proxy for a user. And then you can say, give me just donation pages, and then the system will tell you who your highest value donor is. But our system's more expansive. You want to actually say who's the highest value giver. So then you'd say none to this, you'd still group by email address, and then it will tell you who the highest value giver is. Okay. So income report, check it out. It tells you all purchases. Now, although this tells you all purchases, it doesn't say, it will say that somebody's bought £10 for the raffle, somebody's bought £20 for the raffle. And so if you're selling raffle tickets for £1, you know that the £10 represents 10 raffle tickets. If you really want to actually see the tickets themselves, you would click here, or you would go to menu, reports, and you would find your raffle ticket purchase report. And then you could download the raffle ticket purchase report, and it will tell you the page name, website address, ticket number, all the details about the supporter, contact preferences, etc. It won't tell you the financial information. That is the income report itself. Okay. Now, so that's the data as it's being generated. But what about drawing? So there are multiple ways you can enable drawing. So firstly, when we set up the page, there was an option for, do you want the system to automatically draw? If you set that to yes, then what the system will do, it will actually draw the following day around 2 a.m. in the morning. It will allocate who's won what, and it will email out the winners. Okay. Now, if you don't want to do that and you want to draw at a specific time, after the draw date, you come to this page and these buttons will be enabled. So you can either click draw, the system will allocate who's won what and email you and the winners who's won what. Or you can click draw without notification and the system will allocate who's won what and it will email you but not the winners. And then you can just click close, and that means the system will just close the raffle and then you somehow figure out how to draw the raffle. So you may convert the tickets to physical tickets, and people pick out of a tombola and whatnot. Okay, so just use those in different ways. Okay, so a particular scenario, you may want to do draw without notification. Maybe again you're at a physical event, you want to make it a thing, the draw, and so you click draw without notification and then you read out who's won. Or there's a way we can actually present live draws as well, but you can read out who's won, which makes it more interesting. Or if you're running a raffle and it's just an online raffle, you may want to draw with notification so the winners get notified. It doesn't mean you're still not going to shout about, who's won. Christine again's won the meal and stuff like that. You still want to shout about that, but the winners can be notified. Okay. Now, if somebody wins something and they don't want it, and you want to therefore give it to somebody else, you can also click draw without saving. Now, Christine won the meal, but she decided she didn't want the meal. Maybe she's doing something else on the Friday night. And so Christine says, can you give it to somebody else? So what you can do is you can click draw without saving. The system will always say that Christine won the meal, but draw without saving chooses randomly the next person. Okay, and then you can offer the prize to somebody else. Now, if Christine didn't want the meal, you could do that, but then maybe you could raffle it off again, or you could, run a tombola or things like that. And actually, that's quite a nice way of doing it. You raffle some things off. People who don't want theirs, you could say, we're going to run a tombola. You've got X percentage of chance of winning. And again, it's another experience. It's extending the fundraising experience for your supporters. Okay. Right. Just very quickly, a couple of other things before we end. When somebody purchases a raffle ticket, they're going to get an email, and draw where there's a notification will also receive an email. You can see those email templates if you click help about. You can see the raffle ticket purchase email. This is the email template. And you can see the raffle ticket prize email. This is the template. You can add your own wording to that email when it goes out. Can you see here, add your own custom wording here using the email notification message. So this gives you the ability, because the email is another touch point with the user, you want to take that opportunity to potentially direct that supporter to the next fundraising action or something like that. So what you do here is you click on more, add email notification message, and whatever text you put in that will be inserted into that email going out to their supporter. So it could be something like, if you win, come and collect it, or, thanks very much, you made a really good impact. Click here to see the annual report, or did you know this raffle is part of a physical event we're holding? Click here to buy your event tickets. It could be anything. Use that as a touch point for the next engagement. Also, when somebody buys a raffle ticket, they're going to go to a thank you page, and the default thank you page is quite sparse. It will just say thank you for purchasing X number of raffle tickets, etc. You can also add wording here as well. Again, we're using every touch point possible with the supporters for you to communicate who you are, communicate your story, and potentially pass the supporter on to the next action. How you do that, you click more, you add a notification message. And so whatever text you put in the notification message will be added to the thank you page. Okay. Now, lastly, I can't believe I've been talking for nearly 50 minutes. We've got tagging. Tagging is great, really, really great. So you got your raffle and you publish it on X, Instagram, Facebook, in a newspaper, email groups and things like that. And it's really good for you to know where people are scanning or clicking. So tagging allows you to do that. So just say you have a shop window and you want to know how many people are scanning the QR code in the shop window. You press create and you've got a link that specifically highlights this shop window, but embedded in the QR code is that identifier. Okay, so when people scan on that and make a purchase, the income reports and the raffle ticket purchase report will show that tag, and therefore you can say that, oh, 10% of purchases came from the shop window, 5% came from the till, what's happening at the till, 15% came from Facebook, 25% came from Instagram, and then you can make informed management decisions. Where are your supporters coming from? How much resource should you be spending on each communication channel, etc. Okay, so use tagging really, really well. Tagging is amazing. Very simple concept, but really, really impactful. And you can also do things like, if you have resellers, you give resellers their own link and QR code. So then you know that John has generated £300 worth of raffle tickets. Maybe you remunerate John for selling £300 worth of raffle tickets. Okay, so tagging, super powerful. Right, that was it. Thank very much. Right, any questions on anything I said there? I know it was quite a long me talking, but there's actually quite a lot to say about raffles, I think. Yeah. Any questions, anyone?
As we do a lot of raffles, and we normally do them in person, and the biggest issue I find is that if people don't turn up to events, we don't have the right information. We find it really hard to reach out to them, and it can take quite a long time to stand there and read out all the raffle numbers and stuff like that. With doing it online, our charity bases for mainly 65s and over, is this going to be an easy system for them to be able to access?
So you've always got the offline payment option.
Yep.
So it's pretty easy for you if they're going to give you cash, check, bank transfer. It's really easy for you to do that. Now, yes, an older demographic, can they use Google Pay, Apple Pay? Yeah, they can. Some aren't going to do it, but again, we give you that option. And
no, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, beyond cash, check, and bank transfer, which is really quite fast for you to input and it's free. You got Google Pay, Apple Pay, and again, some people are going to do it. So here's a quite an interesting scenario we see all the time. So a charity holds a raffle, slightly older demographic, and as part of socializing that beyond social media, Instagram groups, WhatsApp groups, email groups, they're going to mail out to their audience, raffle tickets. And so in the past, what you'd do is you'd send out the ticket stubs and you'd say, send us back the ticket stubs with the QR code. Okay. So you still want to do that, but that's time cost, administrative cost, isn't it? So the new world is you send them the ticket stubs and you say, you can do a couple of things now. You can either scan the QR code and you can pay online immediately, right? And some of them are going to do that. And or you say to them, don't send us the ticket stubs, just send us your money, which is less cost for you. right? And then you just enter them as an offline purchase. And if they give
No.
you your email, they'll also receive an email receipt. Now, lastly, you could say, well, if you want to do it like you've always done it, send us back your ticket stubs and your check, and you can still enter them into the system. But you're giving your supporters then choice of not only entering the raffle, but reducing your cost. And you want to
Yeah.
make that a thing. So it's the least cost for you if they scan the QR code. Then it's slightly higher cost if they just send you the money, and it's even greater cost if they send you the ticket stubs as well. So just give them choice. And what you'll see is over time, more people use a QR code. But that's
Yeah.
2 reasons. The first reason is the older folk are going to get used to, and some of them use Google Pay, Apple Pay. The other reason is that the younger people who know how to use Google Pay, Apple Pay will become older.
Very true.
But
No, thank you. That's really helpful. Yeah, because we've always struggled with just trying to keep it smooth and going, and then it gets complicated because you've got a list of people's names just written down on a piece of paper, and I think this will really work for our charity especially. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to go back to my team and be like, oh, it's all going online now, and then think, no, we can't do that. So no, that's, thank you for your help.
By the way, Megan, people talk about online and offline. This is not about online. It's not an online raffle. What it is, it's a way that people can give you payments and you can manage the raffle. That's what it is. And so this is why we stress people give you cash check. You can put those into the system. People can scan the QR code and they can make payments. That is just an extension from people physically giving you cash, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we always try and stress, yes, it's, you need to be online to make the payment, but it's just enhancing what people do already.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing. So thank you very much for that. By the way, I don't know if it's relevant for you, but we also do a fully branded platform as well. So this is St. Gemma's fully branded platform. It's exactly the same as People's Fundraising, but the end-to-end user experience is that of the charity. So when somebody goes to a page, they're going to go to raffle.stgemma. When somebody buys, they're going to get an email from St. Gemma, and the email is going to look like their email template. And if you look at it, they do quite a lot of raffles.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I think that definitely pleased my marketing team.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want information about the fully branded, just let us know. We can send it over. Okay.
Thank you.
But fully branded is amazing. You want to really reinforce your brand identity and trust, and you do that through full branding. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Megan. Anyone else? Mabel, Jean, Christine? Who won the meal?
Not from me, thank you.
No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope that was useful. If you've got any questions or queries, please reach out to the team. We've also got a really good YouTube channel you can check out as well. But thank you very much. We're going to upload this as well onto YouTube so other people can see. So thank you. Now, before I go, actually, I'd just like to ask you if you can do potentially one of two things. If you could rate us on Trustpilot, that would be amazing. We really need to get those ratings up. But also, I'm doing a fundraiser with my son. I'm going to send out the link later on. If you want to support me and my son doing a fundraiser, me and my son, he's 8. There he is, little cutie. And we're going to do an 87-mile walk in the summer. No, not the summer. In the half-term break in a few days. So I'm going to send this link out later. We'd love it if people can, support us in our own fundraising endeavors. Okay, but thank you very much, everyone, and see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.